welcome to the Life Career Roadmap YouTube channel. And today with my special guest, Rodrigo. How I say your surname? Flaire. How do I say your name, Rodrigo? Your surname. Tell us.
Oh, yes. Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you very much for the opportunity, for all your support and help, your attention, your time, everything, all your advice and suggestions. So I really appreciate, I'm grateful for everything you've done for me and what we've done together. So thank you very much, Sama. And that's the treat. So my background is Portuguese. So we spell it flighty. But yes, but most of especially in the workplace, people know my surname by reading the emails. So people used to call me Flaire because they think it's French. So what we used to say in family. So as soon as someone call you Flaire, you know that, well, we know it, but not have so much intimacy. So if they call you flighty, oh no, that's friends and family, the close friends, yes.
Let's come back to that then, because that was the point of having this conversation as well, is our names, how we people call us and how we see them, right? Calling us in a different name. So Rodrigo Flaire. Yes.
Yes, well done, well done, well done.
So Rodrigo, welcome to the YouTube channel, Life Career Roadmap. And I'd like to ask you two initial questions. Where you come from and what's your professional background?
Okay, I'm from Brazil, born and raised in Sao Paulo, which is a normal city. And I had such a non-linear career. So I've worked for French companies with auto parts as an engineer, as a program manager. I also work with social development for some NGOs and for the Brazilian government. And now I'm working as a sales engineer. So it's quite a non-linear background, but I'm an engineer with a master of public policy management.
This conversation will be so so Rodrigo, tell me one thing, like living in Sao Paulo, the big city, right? So as a child, did you have any influence about the decision of being an engineer? Was something that was in your family, being an engineer, or people that would tell you to become an engineer, or teachers, or because you just were very curious, or working with building blocks, or doing math, physics? So what was the story behind this?
Well, I would say that my dad is part of it. He's not an engineer, but he have been working for the same company for 47 years. And it's a Swiss company that develops, launch, and build elevators and escalators. And I remember that he used to break his back at working, like doing a lot of hours. And he taught me, my brother and I, the value of work, of job, of doing hard. And on my holidays, I used to join him at work. So since I was beginning of my teenager, I would say, can I go with you? Can I join you? And he started with some lunch time, presenting some customers, visiting some buildings. And I remember also those parties at the end of the year, for all the employees. And when I was a child, that party happens in the factory. So it was fascinating for everything, for that huge equipment, for those machines, and how big everything was. So I reckon it started since I was a child with that curiosity and a bit of influence from my dad.
Wonderful. So,
Yes.
and the influence to become an engineer was any specific field in engineering that you were more attracted to? Because going to all the machineries in there and equipments, and what was your decision when you went to uni then? Do you under degree? Did you head it
Yes.
quickly?
Yes. At the time, I thought, well, maybe I would like to work with automation, of develop robots, programming, and so on. And I did my graduation in a uni that we used to call it the basic cycle. So everybody doesn't depends which engineer you pick it. We all studied together, and you can see the difference between mechanical, electrical, automation, and chemical and foods. So I started my uni thinking to be an automation engineer, but as soon as I realized that I'm not that good with with computers and so on, I thought maybe I would like to migrate to mechanic. And then I did some internship programs trying to understand what's the daily basis for different positions and roles. So I've worked for some builders as an intern, and then I work for a factory as an intern. So I tried different positions and roles during my holidays, and then said, well, I would like to be an industrial engineer working with production, developing assembly lines, working with logistic issues, and that was it.
Well,
Yes.
and so for how long after you finished your degree, you worked in the field that you chose? Or and also, was it easy for you to find a job straight away when you finished your under degree?
Yes, well, it was a privilege for me. It was quite easy because I graduated in a very good university in Sao Paulo, and most of the companies, the big companies, would used to have a hiring program inside the uni. So I was part of a program that they were trying to pick a student to do an internship in France. So I got on the finals, but was my colleague was chosen, and they said, well, we have an opportunity in Brazil. Would you like to try it? And I said, yes, of course. So I started, but the selection process was inside the uni. Yes.
Yes. And how long did you work in your field specifically?
Well, I would say 6 or 8 years. Yeah, that's the average, maybe 7 years, something like that.
Okay. And then the twist. So you went to
Yes.
it's like
Yeah.
so expected for an engineer to do to
Yes.
study, right? Not the route they normally engineers take, doing an MBA in something that is in the related field. You went completely out of the field. So what happened?
Yeah, love. I would say love,
Oh,
because yes. Well, since I was a child, at home, we used to do volunteering. So I raised it with this perspective, like we need to look after the ones in need, indeed. So I was doing a volunteering for a small NGO trying to develop a solution for Sao Paulo city facing homelessness and drug addiction. So with my background, I was working with program management. I said, well, let's do the build to, not the build to print, but step by step. So we need to understand what's happening here in Sao Paulo, and then what's the benchmark, what's happening in Brazil, South America, and the whole world. And we did it. I was organizing everything, and then we found a project in Italy. I went there. I spent almost 2 months trying to understand everything. And then I told them, well, let's tropicalize it, like bring this project to our reality and make all the adaptations and design something close but not equal, considering that we have different issues in Sao Paulo. And as soon as we designed everything, there was a time to launch. And then the guys told me, well, you're part of it. So you develop, you design it. Now it's time to launch. Would you like to be part of this project, part of this program, be the responsible to launch it? And I said, well, maybe that's the time. I was young. I mean, I'm still young, but it was like
Younger?
younger, yes, 12, I reckon 12 years ago, something like that. And then I said, well, that's a good bet. So if some things went wrong, I can come back to the industry, like as an engineer. But if it success, will be a pleasure for me to develop something that will help my city, that will help those in need, like trying to be part of the problem and the solution. So I did that transition. I was the responsible for all the operation of this NGO. It was such a good success. Then all the secretariats, social secretariats was involved. So, wow, what you guys are doing are so good. You're achieving such an incredible results. Then we start thinking maybe we could influence more and change our not private but personal project to a public policy. And I said, well, maybe it's the time to get back to studies. And then I decided to do the master. And again, was in a important school in Brazil. And during the master, I received the invitation to assume the state responsibility to deal with drug addiction. So I was the coordinator of drug policy in state of Sao Paulo, developing that program that we did in the NGO, but now in another scale for the whole state with more money, more capillarity. Yes, what's interesting.
Yeah, I when I looked at your resume, yeah, you have been working with also with children affected by the social situations and the drug policy. So, and also with strategic management.
Yes.
More a social inclusion, if I can say, in Sao Paulo. Is that right?
Yes, you're right. What helped me is that as an engineer, it's quite easy to deal with numbers and graphics and also analyze everything with more criteria, I would say. So I used to face this social problem, but transforming it in numbers. So how can we develop an indicator for this social problem? How can we understand these numbers? So what's happening? So based on this, it's all my background. Because I'm an engineer, and when I work in the industry, I worked a lot with process, with lean manufacturing, with all the Japanese tools. So I used to adapt it for the social reality. It was so innovative, like no one were prepared for it. No one was expecting it. So how could you do that? So, well, that's what we do in the factories. So we face the problem, we're trying to find the root cause, and then we develop the action plan, sorry. So I reply it in the social programs. So I started working with homeless and drug addiction. And then my boss, she was the secretariat of the state of Sao Paulo. She said, well, can you increase your tasks? So instead of looking after just for the homeless and drug addictions, can we start and look for all the social problems we're facing it? She said, let's do it. So I've got a team with engineer, with statistics. So we started working with big data, Python language, R, trying to find root cause and solution for all the social problems.
Well done. So it's the validation that your transferable skills can be in any industry, and it's
Yes.
processing ideas, right? Having how this works, what the line step by step for the problem and for the solution, and how we can connect them together. And I'm very happy that you have this way of thinking, because there are two professions that I admire a lot that have this kind of process of thinking. One is engineers. They learn how to think about how can solve a problem, right? And also lawyers, that they are always analyzing the risks. What is the best solution that we can
Yes.
get out of this? So I think you guys, like two professions that you work with, I need to find solutions, but I need to know the risks and what the possibilities in here, right? Playing with the possibilities, and I think it's wonderful. So well done for this, and it's very encouraging for people not being thinking about them as a job title only,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But not your job title. You are more than that, and you have more to offer than just your job title. So Rodrigo, when you went to Italy, that you then realized that people facing similar problems, but doing something that is very to their environment, and bringing this idea and adapting to a new environment, and also knowing different places in the world. When was the first time that you thought they would be going out to see the world? Of course, you had when you finished your underdegree to a possibility to go to France. But before that, did you have any idea that, or any thought that you'd love to go somewhere else and learn something new, or even living in some other places?
Yes. Well, I might say that now it's time to talk about my mom.
Oh,
Because, yes, when I was 17, she said, maybe it's time for you to visit another country. It was my holiday again. And then I went to UK. It was 2004. Yes, 2004. So I spent a few months in UK trying to learn English. I still know that I have some improvements to do it, but
we always
yes, well, but well, so I went to UK and then I start seeing the world with different eyes, in a different point of view. But I might say also that born and raised in Sao Paulo helps you a lot. So it's a cosmopolitan city. We used to have people come and go, business. So there's always some incentives to visit the whole world, to see more than your eyes can see, thinking out of the box. So maybe there's the two things helped me a lot to think in a worldwide position.
Okay. So, and the time you said you were raised in your family always with the volunteer situation, that helping others. So going to UK is like Australia. You have a lot of volunteer work. Could you face some jobs there? They were full, not face, but did you see volunteer jobs at that point? Were you just like a young student wanting to join the life. How was for you that situation? Could you perceive, perceive, I think is a better word to say,
Yes.
the volunteer world around you there?
Yeah, no, not at all. Because it was my first international experience. So I was flying overseas alone, trying to be responsible with everything, managing my money, evaluating all the risks. So what you do, what not you do. So I was more concerning, more attention with the time. So I remember, so my parents gave me one amount of dollars, not pounds. I don't remember, not anymore, how much was it, but I had my budget, so I need to deal with. And then I was there in a homestay. It was in a small, like tiny city called Eastbourne. And I said, well, considering that I'm already here, I need to travel as much as I can and I deal with the money later. So I took some decisions.
Okay.
So yeah, so I visited all over England and I bought a cruise to visit France. So I went to Paris. It was very interesting because I spent all my money traveling and I didn't have enough money to eat.
Oh,
So
you lost to
yes,
it then.
yes. I remember, I can remember when I was at the airport back to Brazil, because at that time we didn't have WhatsApp, internet. Well, internet we had, but those smartphones. So we just changing emails. I remember my dad printing it, said I will take it home so your mom can read it. I lost a lot of weight. And my parents said, what happened? Are you okay? So we went to those pizza place, all you can eat service. Like they
So
were trying to
you-
compensate it. Yeah, but I took that decision. So I spent my money with travels. And
Mhm.
at my homestay, I had breakfast and dinner. And during the travels, I did with some groups. So we used to stay on hotels. So we had the breakfast. So I had a big breakfast and I made some sandwiches hiding on the purse on my bag. So that was my first international experience.
Okay. So, and then let's go back then to this volunteering perspective. So, you had this long-term working in the social side and working for Brazilian government or Sao Paulo government. And then in this story, you got married.
Yes.
And then you both decide to come to Australia. So tell us this story. What made you, or both of you, decide to, hey, let's have an adventure?
Yes. Well, one of my position as a volunteer was a teacher. So I was teaching permaculture, with something very interesting. And it was developing here in Australia as well. So I was teaching permaculture. That seems, it's a methodology that teaches how to develop self-sustainable systems.
Mhm.
So I was teaching it in a therapeutic community. I was volunteering there, trying to develop a self-sustainable community. So
Mhm.
let's plant, deal with our sewage, some alternative treatments, and so on. So I met my wife in this context.
Mm.
So it helped a lot. I mean, she's also interested in the social problems. She's a psychologist. Uh, and after, well, before we get married, I was also discussing with her alternatives besides Sao Paulo. I'm quite tired about Sao Paulo. It's quite expensive, busy, traffic jam, and all the security problems. So I was trying to develop a solution with her. But then she said, well, maybe it will be a lots of changes at the same time. Like we both get married, moving to another city and so on. I said, well, you have a good point. I agree. So we've got married and we were living in Sao Paulo. But suddenly I told her, well, shall we try something really different? She said, like what? I don't know, maybe spend 1 year and a half in Australia. I said, what's Australia? I said, yes, it's quite far from here. It's not usual to spend holidays in Australia. I mean, it's pretty expensive and it takes a long time. So maybe if we spend 1 year and a half, we'll be close to Asia as well. Maybe visit some places over there, New Zealand. I was a rugby player in the uni, so maybe watch some games. And she was listening, thinking about, and one day she said, "Deal, I
Oh,
I will join you if in that adventure." And so let's make it happen. And we started searching agency, make some quotes, planning our investments, our money, and now we're here.
yeah. So, coming to Australia, so you went to UK, you start studying English. Did your wife also came with some English, or she came here to study English?
Yeah, that was her lame excuses. So I'm gonna, yes. Well, why are you going to Australia? Well, she needs to learn English.
Okay.
Yeah, she came here as a elementary student. I mean, no English at all. So we have been here for almost 7 months. So she's taking class every day, improving a lot, I would say. But there was positive externality to come here, to have to her has having an English as a second language.
Okay, so and then when I met you, I didn't know about all this story, as many of things I'm learning right now. So you came as a newcomer, looking to get into the workforce in Australia. So and it was something that when we had the first 101 session, then you sent me your resume, and I looked and said, "Where did you get this resume from?" Do you remember that?
Yes, for sure. I remember everything. And
And
for those who are watching us now, I was one of those. I mean, following Sama on YouTube and watching all the videos and interviews.
yeah, and then
I can share if you wanted.
yes, no, and then the question was, I said, where did you get this resume? Did you prepare it? And what the answer that you gave me said, I have been talking to everyone you have been interviewing. I went to talk to everyone. So because the resume said you made this resume so familiar to you, say, yeah, I know this resume. So you had everything, basically the structure of the resume, and even though you decide to come and join the mentoring program. So
Yes.
and my question to you is, what was the main decision for you? Because you had the resume, you had talked to so many people because you are a networker working with social enterprise or social projects is something that we do a lot. We talk and we exchange knowledge. So how was for you the decision, or what was the decision to come and join a mentoring program, knowing that you came here for a limited time, knowing that you were here experiencing, we were working in different jobs as well. So, but what made you to decide to join the mentoring program?
Yes. Well, to be honest, I was really tired of working in hospitality. So maybe that's one of our mistakes. So we didn't planned well our changing from Brazil to Australia. So I thought, as we were talking about a first world country, that even working in hospitality or, well, whatever, we could afford everything. But that's not the reality. Things here are really expensive. It's not that easy to find a place to rent as a newcomer with new bank accounts, with no rental historic and so on. And then I started thinking, well, maybe I could take advantage of my background. So I have been working for more than 18 years in different fields, in different positions, different countries as well. Maybe it will help me. So I developed an action plan. I used to say that it's not about who you are, but who you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's how things works in Brazil. So I said, well, I need to increase my network. So I starting as a volunteer. I find an NGO with homeless and drug addiction. That was my background. I said, no, I have repertoire to talk about this situation. And then I started. And then I said, well, let's invest some time and energy on LinkedIn, trying to find all the Brazilians that they are here in Perth. It's not a big city. We're talking about 2 million inhabitants. So to be connected with the Brazilian community won't be hard for me. So I started trying to connect people. I've met a professor in the uni. He invited me for some meetings of Brazilian chambers and so on. And then I found you on YouTube, but no, it wasn't your channel. It was a Brazilian channel. 2 guys interviewed you.
Yes.
Yes. And I
Uh,
said, yes,
Right.
aqui in Australia, yes. And then I said, well, I found you on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I started following you. I messaged you on both. I replied your videos on YouTube, and then I text you on LinkedIn. And I said, well, let's see who was part of this program, just to see, I mean, being honest, to check if your program, your methodology was reliable or not. And then I tried to contact with all the Brazilians. I met 2 or 3. I changed some WhatsApp with a few, and said, no, it's true. She's reliable, the program, all the positive feedbacks. And then I thought, well, maybe she's the one that can help me. And then I started the program.
Yeah, you start the program. So thank you very much for that. So the 2 points that I'd like to raise here, it's you coming and making an action plan, right? And
Yes.
looking for possibilities that you could explore. That's a great thing. And the other thing is when you mentioned about you and your wife didn't plan what you could not plan because you didn't know about. So the
Yes.
expectation was one thing, the reality is something else. So most of the time, what I see newcomers buying the idea that coming to Australia, Australia is a place you can get all your dreams come true. Yes, it can take time as well, right? So you can achieve what you want, but the main thing is you need to put lots of work to be able to achieve what you want. And many people think it's coming to a first world country, think it would be easier. And then they come because there is a lifestyle here that is sold, right, out there. And when they come, they face, oh my goodness, it's not different where I come from. I need to pay bills. I need to buy food, I need to pay rent, and the cost is so expensive, and I don't know anyone, I don't have anyone, and the jobs that I can do are limited here because you don't know many people and don't know the system, and they become a second-class citizen. And that's what strikes me, because we come, normally newcomers come for a better life. That's always what we say, and then end up feeling as a second-class citizen. And some people stay there forever, is despite they stay in the country, they are citizens, but they don't feel as part of. Not having a passport doesn't mean that you feel that you are part of. It means that you have a document, right? So, and the other thing that you mentioned as well is regarding talking to people to know the how reliable my service was, and then that's very something that we can do every time for everything that we do, checking things out and see if it's real or not. Because most of the time you buy things because we get an impulse of, oh, I want it, and do it. And what I have seen, Rodrigo, is many people that I have helped, they come to me, they want a magic pill. And it's very tough because they come when they don't have the resources anymore, and they have tried everything. And when they come to me, it's like, I need to save them. And it's very tough when I tell them, I can help you, but you have to do the work, and takes time. And that's why when I ask you how long took you when you left your under degree to get a job, because sometimes it's not straight away. You leave the degree and we don't have a job, and it's not different in a new country. So thank you very much for saying that. So coming to the program, you met many people in there, and you were the only engineer, I believe, in this course.
Yeah, I reckon, yes.
But someone working in the social field. And I don't know if it was something that you expected from the beginning to have this professional development, but you came from a personal development first, and a networking, telling and teaching you how to be memorable. So, and I remember you made a comment in there that you never expect what we had in the first moment. Would you explain?
Yes. Well, before, I would like to add one thing, because most of the Brazilians I used to talk are here under the student visa.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of, I mean, there's a huge options of other visas, but you must be prepared for it.
Yes.
And that's one thing I would like to share, to spread. Like, there's more options besides the student visa. So if you are trying to migrate, so you're still developing your plan, your budget, your goals as well. So you should talk with agency that could help you with more details and more opportunities, because the student visa has several restrictions, and it's not that easy to find a position here in the whole market under the student visa.
And especially if you have qualifications, experience,
Yes,
take advantage of this.
yes, I would come here if I can go back forward. I would come with a different visa, because even in the different visa, my wife would be able to do the English class
Yeah.
and so on. So it will help more both of us. Yeah, but it's interesting because I'm always like this, thinking in process, trying to develop action plans, trying to be more rational than emotional. And I remember on the first class, we've talked about this splash. So how can you make you unforgettable? And also we've talked about our life. So personal life, personal goals, achievements, or issues. And it seems obvious, but just after your exercise, I realize and recognize that most of the problems I was facing at that time was my fault. So I am the protagonist of my story, my history, and my success and my failure. I know that we all facing some new events, something that you can predict. But the things, how are you gonna deal with it? So that's all your responsibility. And was fascinating for me to experience that sections, the first sections, talking about life in fun, recreation, short-term, medium-term, and long-term project, trying to thinking more about next steps. I know that we are talking about life. I mean, as I told, something can happen, change everything, but you must be prepared. I mean, at least think what you are working to achieve, what are your goals, what are your challenge, which obstacle you need to overcome, and so on.
That's right. So, Rodrigo, then you had two possibilities to get into the not-for-profit profit organizations and having the social impact as well, and also going to engineering. So you had your options were huge. So in networking, you could see the possibility of you getting a job back to a field that you have a gap. Right? How long have you been away from engineering, like specifically job in engineering?
Well, maybe 8 years.
8 years.
Yes, it's turning 9 at the end of the year, I reckon. Yes.
And then through the connections that you made, you could present your resume and get a job back in engineering. Tell us
Yes.
more about.
It was interesting because 12 years ago, I was a sales engineer, and now I'm a sales engineer again. So facing the same position after 12 years. Well, it's one of the lessons. So you need to develop your pitch. You must be prepared for all the opportunities. If something come up, you just do what you prepared. So I was practicing it. So every opportunity, everyone I met, I was there. So I, I brought from Brazil my splashing sentence. So when people say, well, how's it going? How are you doing? I used to say, I'm better than I deserve. So no one is expecting it. So what do you mean? Why are you saying that? And then we start a conversation. And with the conversation, I have my pitch, trying to show my qualities, my background, but everything subliminal. I mean, not too offensive.
Over
Well, yes.
more the
But
conversation than overselling.
yes. And then I remember I was playing soccer with most of Brazilians. I found a soccer group, and most of them are engineers. I said, well, that's a good strategy for me. I'm not a good player, but
I
I'm
have to
good.
be now
Yes.
then.
Yes, I'm not a good player, but I'm good in conversation. And let's do it. I'm a funny guy. It's always easier in your native language. So I joined that group and I met one guy, and then they start, wow, there's a position available at work. There's a position available. I'll start sharing my resume, and one of the companies called me back. So can we do an interview? I said, of course. And then I received a call from Melbourne. That's the headquarter over there. First question, what's your visa? I said, well, I'm a student visa. Actually, I'm a partner. My wife is studying. And then he said, well, that's it. It's a full-time position. You're not allowed to work as a full-time. I said, no, come on, man. You already called me. Let's do the interview. At least we know each other. We increase our network. I convinced him to keep doing the interview. And I told him, and if you liked me, I mean, my profile, my background, you can share with the manager and let's see what happened. And that's what he did. And then the manager mailed me, wow, I've heard from the HR guy that you are so good, but unfortunately you have some work restrictions. But why don't we catch up for coffee? I said, absolutely. That's my availability. So I'm free at this day, at this day, at this time. And then after 1 week and a half, he said, would you mind to come here at the office? I said, no, I don't. And I saw he was the state manager and the supervisor were in COP. I said, well, it's not a coffee anymore. It's kind of an interview. Yeah, so I bought a t-shirt.
Oh, I went
Yes.
upstairs.
Yeah, I bought a shirt, shoes, shaven, and it was an interview. We spent like 1 hour and a half chatting, sharing some experience. And I told it was this position, so a sales engineer. And I said, wow, I was a sales engineer. I was kind of a key account manager. So that's the deals I did. We were facing some problems with profits, with process, and that's the action plan I developed. That's the strategy, and so on, and blah, blah, blah. And maybe after 1 week and a half, the AGR called me, another one. So we might have a part-time position, would like to be part of the process. I said, well, I would love to be considered. And yes. So it took like, I would say 5 or 6 weeks, the whole process. I did 4 interviews and 1 medical appointment, and then I got the position.
Well done. Well, this was your first position interview as in your profession field?
Yes, here in Australia was.
Okay, so you went there prepared, with your spirit prepared, like the first, like the appearance, like being ready to go to an interview, doing your homework, checking everything before you go, and having the perspective of talking about your responsibilities, problems that you faced, and how you came up with a solution. That is basically what we do in our resume. What is your responsibility? What have been your achievements?
Yes.
How your achievements help the organization, right? So it's developing that structure that you guys engineers have, and you have naturally. Well done, well done. And so you have,
And that was, sorry to cut you, but it's, I would say that was the peak point. I mean, my resume, because they decided to call me based on my resume. So even the guy I met on the soccer, they don't know me, I mean, a lot deep. So he was trying to help a new Brazilian, a newcomer. But as soon as the manager saw my resume and I customized it for that position, so we are talking about a sales engineer. Okay, let's do it. I also changed my positions on LinkedIn. I made some adaptations. Yes, trying to. I understood there was an entry level, so as a sales engineer, but was an entry level, and I had been, I mean, CEO, director, and so on. So I changed that positions on my LinkedIn, trying to be more general. So instead of shocking the AGR man, just trying to make my profile more attractive. So I customized all my resume, my activities, my results, my experience, my skills, my summary, and so on. And I would bet the resume was the key point for the whole process. Of course, that I had a good interview, but you know that normally they don't spend 1.5 hours chatting, sharing situation. So I did my homework. I was there, prepared for the interview. The whole process helped me a lot, even with technical vocabulary, numbers, trying to emphasize the numbers, the results, the path. So as I told you before we started, thank you very much. There was also your achievement. I can share with you that achievement, really.
Oh, I'm so glad for you because you really understood the process and made the process to work for you. And it's not the question that people don't only not understand, but sometimes they are so busy doing something else. And even is the word that I really don't like even to say, that is survive. They are always surviving and not giving the time to invest in something that they want so much. So they send zillions of resumes the same way, and not really taking the time to devote the time to read the job description and tailor that resume to the job description to show the recruiter or the person who is interviewing you that you know something about them, that you are interested in that job, and is customizing your resume. So well done. And also making the congruence between all your documents, right? Because if you go to your LinkedIn and something is completely different, you send the wrong message. So it's not you lying, you just aligned things for that job. And of course, having all the ability to talk about what you have done and how you have contributed to the organization you are working before is what they want to hear from you, how you can help them. And you made it, and especially in sales, because to get someone who is not a native speaker, sales is something else, right?
Yes, yeah, completely. Especially here in Australia with the Aussie accent and all the slangs, short version of the words. Yeah, it's a challenge. But I'm still facing it. I mean, I'm not 100 prepared. So sometimes even simple tasks like pick up the phone and understand the request, because now I'm working in a field that I've never worked before. So I'm working with HVAC, so developing exhaust and systems. So even this process is new for me. I've studied in the uni, but it was long time ago. So now I'm dealing with technical issues like static pressure, airflow, impeller, and so on. So I'm increasing my vocabulary. I'm still learning something new, and sometimes I need to deal with the phone. So
that's a big fear.
It's always a challenge. But I used to say I keep getting involved in everything I can. I mean, wow, that's the learning curve. I didn't lie during the process. So they interviewed me. They do it face to face. They called me, so they know my English level. They know my accent. They know my mistakes. So if they gave me the opportunity, it seems that they understand that we have the same values, that I can deal with the situation, and they will be there to support me.
Wonderful. That's a wonderful message, because Many people don't even see others giving value to what they do, and they depreciate themselves and say, no, I'm not doing anything. And what I see most of the time with newcomers when they come to me, when I do the exercise with them of achievements, they think they have just done an ordinary job, nothing else, right? But no, you have done something.
Yes.
Have done to contribute. So it's bringing this, as I used to say, when you are doing the resume, I use as a therapeutic tool for you to understand your values, understand that you are someone that can contribute, but you can't see it. So let's do it. Let's dig in. Let's bring these great things that you have inside of you that you can put out there to the world. So, Rodrigo, now I would like to talk about the decision of coming again to Australia, and knowing that you have a time frame that you came to have a time off from Sao Paulo, having an experience in Australia, and your wife studying English. So you may not have decided if you want to stay or not. But what is counting or towards you or to make a decision to stay or not? So you are analyzing everything, you are experiencing new things. And what is out there for you that when you look at and you think about, oh, maybe yes, or maybe not, or no, or yes? Sure.
Yes, well, yes or no.
Yes or no?
Yeah, that was the referendum this weekend.
Yes. Yes or no? Very, very simple. Yes or no?
Yes or no. Well, that's a tough situation because, I mean, we have been here for 7 months, so I would say that we're still setting everything in. And it's quite difficult to compare our life in Brazil than what we are facing here. I mean, I'm better than I deserve. I can't complain. Like they used to say, I'm living the dream. So living and facing all the experience and situation with a positive mindset, but be aware of the family. It's not easy for us. We are planning to have kids, and that's an important decision. I truly understand that we have lots of possibility here, even in this company. I know other companies that used to sponsor foreigners, which makes the path easier and more predictable. So we are facing these pros and cons, trying to develop a list of positive and negative points to be here, and also positive and negative points to go back to Brazil. So we're still dealing with all the emotions and all the reasons to be here, to migrate or not. So we didn't decide yet. It's a tough decision, but we are enjoying to be here, to work here with joy.
So you are an open mind to anything
Yes,
that comes to you.
very open. Yes.
So
We sold everything. I mean, before we came here, we sold our car, couch, bed, curtain, stove, refrigerator,
you came as
everything.
you come back to Brazil, everything will be new as well.
Yes.
That's a good point.
Yes.
Not too bad. So and you said to me before that you guys came here with this open mind to see if it was possible or not, and the decision, you have still time to decide if you want to stay or not.
Yes.
And that's a good thing, because take out the pressure that you have to find a job in your field, or you have to have something or a sponsor to keep you in Australia. So let's say it's a very nice place to be when you have this kind of flexibility with
Yes.
but probably with people that you have met before or are meeting every day, newcomers that are facing that situation that there is a deadline. I need to, I have to. So what would be your suggestion or advice for someone who is here in the situation of crossroad? I have to find a way to stay, otherwise I go back home, but it's not my choice. You have a choice, but the other person has a choice, but they don't know they have a choice.
Well, giving advices is always a challenge. I
Yes.
mean,
Suggest.
especially for me as a newcomer. I know people, lots of people that have been here for 10, 20, 30 years. Maybe they have more experience to share. But what I learned from life, that's always a possibility to develop an action plan.
Mhm.
But the thing is, you must face the root cause. And sometimes people don't want to face it. Like, are you running away from something in Brazil, and that's the reason why you're here? Oh, oh no, you decided you came here because, I don't know, there's plenty of reasons. But trying to identify and understand the main reason why you would like to migrate, I would say that's very important. That's the first step. I mean, that's the beginning to understand and face the reason, the reality. I mean, face your mistakes and also your achievements, your qualities. Uh, that's important for me. I mean, there's people. I used to know. I'm doing therapy. I mean, for 5 years. So I'm trying to deal with my problems, with my questions, with my way of life. And I would say, I would advise, I would suggest you to know yourself more before you make such an important step or decision. That's what I could say.
Well done, well done. That's what I believe too. Sometimes you just want to run away from things that you want to
Yes.
face, and sometimes is unconscious. And
Yes.
having the time to think about and really face, and um, it's very confronting, necessary. Necessary. Otherwise, you just be in circles and the problem becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and you don't know what's going on, and you think the
Yes.
universe is against you.
Yeah, and you start to procrastinating, and then I've met people here that they still under the student visa, and they had been here for 12 years. They said, well, how can you be under the student visa for 12 years?
It's a lot of pressure, and it's stressful. It's stressful.
Yes, but we must, yeah, we must deal with our choices
Yeah.
and the consequences as well.
Yes. So, and for someone who is outside of Australia and wanting to come and be part of this beautiful country and enjoy the life that we have here, you said you planned, but you didn't plan enough. So, what odd suggestions would you give to people that want to come to Australia and have this first world country style of life?
Yes. Well, as I told you before, I would starting comparing the opportunities of visas.
Mhm.
So what kind of visa I could apply? I know that some of the visa are quite more expensive comparing to the others, but the opportunities are quite different as well. So trying to find a balance in between those pros and cons, comparing visas and what you want to do. Because when you move to a different country, the times fly. I mean, everything goes too fast. Because for me, it seems that I landed here yesterday, and it's almost 1 year. And I recognize that we could move fast. I mean, find a place, find a position, and everything, buy a car and so on. Things, small things that helps you a lot. But I need to emphasize that visa is an important thing. You must pay attention, invest more time and energy to take the right decision, and not the easiest one.
Yes, that's right. Especially because being outside of Australia, you have so many options and you have the time to get prepared to come here while your visa is processing. So it's
Yes.
something that people want for tomorrow, but it takes time.
Yes.
And now, Rodrigo, regarding the time now that you had this year and a little bit more than a year to be in Australia and knowing a different lifestyle, different system, and not just as 2 months visiting, but really living the day-by-day situation, that you could have the time also, I believe, to reevaluate your values, what is important, what are priorities in your life. So would you have anything to say about this experience of reevaluating you and your wife, reevaluating your priorities from now on? You have touched a little bit before, but I'd like to hear
Yes.
more about the time in life that you need to stop and think.
Well, I mean, I might have conflict of interest. No, it's just like it's what we used to say. It's, I'm not in a call sick, but I'm missing. We are missing a lot our family, especially our parents. So it's an important thing that we are considering again. How long they will be here with us. So maybe we could take more advantage of it. And also our relationships, our relationship between husband and wife. I mean, Isabella and I mean, we are developing stronger bonds, like we are really connected, trying to support each other, helping each other. It was an important decision for us to experience this time here and understand more about ourselves, our qualities, our difficulties, and everything like this. And also the good points to be a Brazilian and also to be in Brazil. I've just posted on my LinkedIn that I invited my team for a Brazilian lunch. So
Oh,
we,
a barbecue?
yes, yeah, barbecue, yeah, Brazilian charcoal barbecue. So we went to Malaga markets,
Yeah.
yeah, last Friday, and I said, well, that's the PF, what we say it is. So we had the yeah,
Made platter
yes,
here.
yes, rice and beans, meat and salads and fries. So small things, simple things. That's the real life. I mean, when I am aware from my family, from my country, from my culture. I must emphasize the small things. I mean, we're not talking about expensive brands, fancy. We are talking about good relationships, good connections. I don't know. That's what we are discussing, talking about, missing more.
Yes, so well done. So you're recognizing and acknowledging as well, not pretending
Yes,
nothing is happening. So
yes.
as you are talking about barbecue, so what is the food that you miss from Brazil that you love a lot? That when you think about going back to Brazil or visiting Brazil, you say, "Ah, this is what I want to eat." Or what it is that?
Well, I mean, my mother's food.
As a mother, I feel like, thank you.
Yes, 'cause I love to cook. I'm the one that cooks at home. Uh, so we have opportunity here. I mean, there's churras and also in caculas. You find the Brazilian section. So we are not facing, I mean, problems to cook the Brazilian dish. But to eat Brazilian dish at home, it's completely different.
Yeah. And
Yes.
and I tell you, for me, I have been here 25 years when I came here. What we have here today is so much compared to when I came here was nothing. Had
Yes.
really I was a struggle to get everything on a plate as a Brazilian meal. So and mom's food, but what is the favorite mom's food that you when you think about it, oh my goodness, I would love to have that.
Well, there's two dishes. So one is a chicken, like nothing special, steamed, but she does with honey and orange.
Mm.
Yes. And there's another one with brown. Yes, that one is insane.
So
With yes, with catupiry
Tupini
and
cheese.
yes,
So
catupiry
moms get
cheese
ready.
and potato puree.
Ah,
Yes,
well done.
lovely.
Rodrigo, I would like to thank you very much for your genuine and honest conversation here because it's very important your that you are sharing your life career experience because you, as I mentioned before, you have two great areas that you can go to both sides at the same time using your transferable skills and your ability to adapt and seeing the new possibilities and go forward to get them and sharing this experience with newcomers that sometimes they see themselves unable and hopeless. So showing that is a possibility. You have been here for a short period of time, doing what you have done to experience the Australia culture in the whole sense. And I know you, despite you have a part-time job as a sales engineer, you also work in another gig to pay the bills and do
Yes,
what you want to do, right? Because you said I want to live with the money that I earn here. So well done for pursuing your ideas and your dreams and seeing the possibilities. It's very important, and I believe many newcomers, when they hear your story, they will see themselves differently. It's very important, and especially because your wife being a psychologist, probably she also heard a lot about migrants facing a lot of mental health issues, but they don't report or they isolate themselves because they see that is not a possibility for them. And I thank you for sharing your experience here with me and with the channel.
yes, you're more than welcome, Samla. And as I told you, it's a pleasure for me. And thank you for everything. You helped me, all the directions, all the suggestions again. Thank you very much. And for your followers, as I did, if they want, they can contact me. There will be my LinkedIn profile. We can get in touch.
That's right. The same way when the ones that you look for them
Yes,
and help you is paying forward,
yes,
right?
yes, of course.
Yes, that's right. So thank you very much for you watching this episode. I'm sure you got a lot from Rodrigo's experience as a newcomer, and that you can see the possibilities that you can have if you decide to stay, if you decide to come back where you come from. There is nothing right or wrong. It's what is important to you in your life, in your priorities in life. So be aware and be congruent with all your priorities and values in life so you can move forward. So thank you very much. Remember to subscribe and see you next. Thank you, Rodrigo.
Bye bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.